Awesome. And Jeff is here. We are excited to hear from Jeff, the founder of Megafans. Excited to hear about what he's working on. Jeff, I know that you've just joined us. What we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of fun today. We're going to hear your pitch, and with the audience, some of your Hyper Accelerator cohort as well. We're going to dissect it. We're going to give some feedback. And if you would like, Jeff, for your entertainment, I will attempt to pitch your idea back to you, right? I know that you've pitched your idea a lot probably, but sometimes hearing it from somebody else kind of, adds a little bit of flavor and spice. And the other thing is the industry that you're working on is ever changing. So sometimes it's good just to take a step back and see if we can add a little bit of value. But I'm looking forward to hearing your pitch, sir. Now, before we start, just so the audience knows, where are you? What lovely city are you joining us from?
So San Diego, California.
All right. The best place to live in the United States, in my opinion, at least for the weather and the nice people, right? And the food trucks. What we're going to do, Jeff, is we're going to recreate what happens in the real world. I'm hitting the top of the elevator right now, and we will begin. I'll introduce myself and we'll go from there. All right?
Sounds good, Ash. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Jeff. My name is Ash Singh. I am one of the owners of one of Southeast Asia's largest gaming distributors. I heard about what you're working on. Please tell me more.
Hey, Ash. So glad to run into you.
Yes, my pleasure.
So yeah, I'm Jeff Donnelley. I'm founder and CEO of Megafans. Megafans is an eSports tournament platform. Let me explain what that is. We're approaching the mobile gaming industry. The mobile gaming industry, as you know, is the fastest growing sector of the $2.2 trillion entertainment industry. It's growing at a pace between 8 and 10%, depending on which report you read. It's an extremely lucrative opportunity, but it's also a very crowded and highly competitive space. So the traditional game developer, as you probably know, has 3 perpetual problems: user acquisition, retention, and monetization. Well, we found that eSports solves for that. eSports offers a rewarded gameplay, retention mechanisms that are already tried, true, and proven, and offers a richer experience for the player. So what we developed was a esports tournament system tech stack. It's an SDK, software development kit, that can integrate into any gaming environment and open up esports tournaments, competitive gameplay, rewards for the players, and as an obvious user acquisition, retention, monetization tool set for the game developer. It's a white label solution. We already have some early traction. Currently, we have 5 games in market that we've been testing.
Yeah.
Those games have already brought on over 600,000 registered users. We're on the 4 major app stores, so Apple, Google, Huawei, and Samsung.
Yeah.
And today, we're already starting to integrate into 2 different Web3 game environments, and we're bridging Web 2 and Web 3 with this. Yeah. So the player only needs to register one time in our ecosystem, can take their account with them across any game into any platform. So we're mobile first, but it can go to PC, HTML5, Web 3 for a complete ecosystem.
Sure.
And the player can see all their Web 2 and Web 3 assets in one place, thus creating a bridge. This is the first bridge that's been developed to bridge Web 2 and Web 3 in the gaming environment. We'd love to show you a demo. We're currently looking to raise. We have an $8 million valuation on the business. Sure. We've already raised $1 million towards that. Yeah. And we're currently raising another $1 million on our token sale. Okay. And we'd love to show you how the product works and talk about where it goes from here.
Excellent, Jeff. Thank you very much for sharing that. Let's dissect this a little bit. Let's dissect the Megafans platform for a second. And for those of you that are joining us in the chat, feel free to give your feedback. It's always welcome. So Jeff, let's chat a little bit around this, right? A lot to unpack right? With the Megafans platform. You are creating something that is, we think about esports. And when we think about esports, we think about people that rent arenas, rent stadiums, and have these big esports elements. And what you're doing is you've basically turned it on its head and say, hey, why don't I create the largest virtual esports platform? And I think that's part of where you're going, right? Because the tournament angle is kind of the reason for being, correct? The rewards don't matter as much unless you have a way to compete, because competition is kind of what drives things, right?
Yeah, it's bringing esports down to a level where you don't have to be a professional gamer playing 16, 18 hours a day. You can play on mobile games. Anyone can play. Anyone that's holding a mobile device in their hand is eligible to play esports. So it really lowers the barrier to entry.
Let's talk about that, because I feel that that's a very interesting element when we think about the play to earn, space and all the other components. For those of people that are not professional gamers, tell me how many people actually make money in the professional gaming space as a percentage? And if the Megafans platform is successful, how do you intend on changing this?
Yeah, so the entire esports industry is only $2 billion by itself, the professional esports industry.
Got it.
It's growing, but it's small. It's elite, right? Those are elite gamers.
Yes.
What we're doing is we're broadening the pool again, so that anyone holding a mobile game can play on a casual game, a mobile casual game. We'll go into mid-core games and hardcore games, of course, because there's a market there. But it's going to be a mixed portfolio. And we've really, again, just cast the widest net possible. There's 3 billion daily active users that play casual games on the planet. A third of the world's population plays a mobile game on their mobile device every single day. So it's a massive audience.
And why has no one not done this yet, Jeff? Tell me why. Like, I'm just, as you were pitching, and again, I'm just giving you my honest feedback from an investor's perspective. Why has somebody else not built this yet, Jeff?
Actually, there's different versions of it. And this is where we get into the model, and we'd have to show you the demo. But our competitors are doing what we call PvP or 1v1 play. So it's Ash versus Jeff tournaments, micro tournaments.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's fine. That's a good model. And our largest competitors doing 400 million a year in revenue with that model. So it's significant. However, we developed a massive multiplayer leaderboard model that I've actually taken from my experience. I have over 25 years experience marketing for marketing and advertising for gaming companies. We took a leaderboard model approach, which is much more scalable. So we can take a single tournament and we can have an infinite number of players playing simultaneously for that prize pool in that tournament. Therefore, there's only one tournament, one transaction that needs to be measured and monitored in order to be able for scalability. And so that's the difference between us and our primary competitors. Also, the biggest competitors in the space haven't crossed over to Web3 yet.
Yes.
None of them have introduced blockchain assets into their ecosystems. We did, and we tested against our audience, and we found out 80% of our audience is crypto curious.
Sure. And so that lends to this idea that you could, from an earn perspective, have your own token available. But does that impair your connection point with the game developers? Wouldn't they want to have their own token or their own way of, tell me a little bit about that relationship piece.
Yes, we're actually crypto agnostic. Yes, we will have our own token for our own ecosystem. Again, part of it was proof of concept. Part of it's also monetization of the games that we actually own. But for our partnerships and the white label solutions, we allow them to bring in their own cryptocurrencies, NFTs. We currently actually have sponsorship and advertising opportunities within our ecosystem where they can actually test and advertise their products inside of our tournaments. They can give away their products in our tournaments. They can advertise them to our players and our community. So we'll be completely agnostic. And the way that we've designed this, and this is part of the secret sauce, inside of our intellectual property, inside of our servers, where the transactions take place, we can actually cross-chain.
Yep.
So even though we have our in-game token, which needs to be used to work within the token system, that token can be traded out for any digital asset. So again, we're agnostic, and we invite them to bring in their ecosystems. Matter of fact, the two new partnerships that we formed with the Web3 games, they will be bringing in their tokens and NFTs into that ecosystem.
Got it. So they bring it in.
And we'll be sharing in that. We get our model is rev share. So that's our profitability center, is to actually share on their success.
Got it. This leaderboard model is very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, our number one competitor announced last year that they were going to introduce a leaderboard model into their ecosystem.
Yeah.
They failed to do so, though. So it's been about a year and a half, and it still has not emerged. So, and they're having some other issues. So we think we still got a good advantage, a good window to be able to build this out in the next 18 to 36 months and have an advantage over the marketplace.
Got it. Now, another question I have for you is around, the $3 billion market. Where do you think you would get the most level of traction to start? Because that market seems fairly large, Jeff.
It is large, and we've tested globally, Ash. So we started testing a couple of years ago with our first games. We've tested India, we've tested Southeast Asia, South America, North America, Europe, a little bit in the Middle East. We have yet to enter Africa, but we're planning on doing that in our next stint. Southeast Asia is the strongest market for mobile gaming today. And that's where the majority of our current players live. But South America is coming on very quickly. And we went from from alpha to beta testing in certain markets in South America, and have seen some immediate traction and growth. So we know there's a huge opportunity there as well. Obviously, North America, that's sort of the crown jewel one of the crown jewels in the gaming industry, right? Or at least in the West.
Sure.
So because we can't get into the Chinese market, doesn't allow this type of gaming.
Sure.
But North America is where we can monetize. It's a very rich market. So once we get this stabilized with some of our partners, we'll be aggressively going into the North American market and growing our monetization base there.
Can you? I want to talk a little bit about the psychology element around this, Jeff. Right? Because I know there's your company's called Megafans, right? And I think there's a special reason why you've called it Megafans. But when I look at this, I want to come back to the psychology of being ranked, Jeff. Right? You see this, like, I'll give you an example. My son is a 12-year-old Rubik's cuber. Okay. He goes around and he could do, I don't know how he does it. He's obviously doesn't have my brain. He's probably got my wife's intelligence, but he's able to do this, and he is ranked. He goes to like local tournaments, and in a small city, he's in the top 50 of this small city. I mean, he gets excited. He's 12 years old, but I want to talk about the psychology of being ranked, okay? And how this ranking will relate to because I feel like this leaderboard ranking component is part of your secret sauce. And there will be a time, like when I think about the future, Jeff, right? Because part of this is where the future holds. When you're one of the top 50 or 100 ranked tennis players in the world, right? There's a value to that, right? When you are one of the top 100 command and conquer players in the world, there's a value to that. And so I want to kind of understand a little bit about the leaderboard psychology and how that drives, what does that do for stickiness in a game, right? Because I think most people don't know this, Jeff, and it didn't come out, you know what I mean? Like what I know it's part of your secret sauce, but I think an investor should know that once somebody gets committed to a leaderboard, commits to a ranking, what happens to them psychologically at a very basic human level, okay? Because there's a human element to this, right, Jeff? When you, and I know this is just one part of your feature, but I feel like this could be the this is your secret sauce, right? And talk to me a little bit about the psychology of a leaderboard. How does it remain sticky? And eventually, how can it not just be something that they can brag to their friends about, right? Because unfortunately for me, my son is not earning any crypto or anything for his Rubik's cubing capabilities, but eventually he might, right?
Yes,
He was
yes,
using your platform. So let's talk, let's bridge that in, because I feel like that's a really magical component of what you've done,
yeah.
along with Jeff, why you are the best person on the planet to bring it out, because you didn't bring up your background in your pitch, surprisingly, right? I think the world should know, so tell me
Yeah.
about the psychology and why Jeff is the best person on the planet based on his experience to make this work. Go ahead.
Thanks, Ash. Well, actually, first, the Megafans brand actually does have a lot of thought that went behind it. It's actually a morphed acronym. It stands for Mobile Esports Gaming Fanatics. If you break down the term,
yes, exactly.
It actually breaks down to Mobile Esports Gaming Fanatics.
Yes.
And we did a lot of research before we went there. But to answer your question, this is really a B2B2C model, right?
Yeah.
Because it's B2B on the white label solution, but then what happens after we give them the white label and they integrate the software is they're taking it to the consumer.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's B2B2C. There's an innate human need for recognition, for competition and recognition. Yeah. So humans like to compete. Humans have been playing games since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. Okay. And they like to win. And it's not just winning things of value, although that enhances the experience, right? Enriches the experience and can enrich the user. But it's really about bragging rights. It's really about, I'm the champion of this community that I belong to. So once somebody joins one of these gaming communities and they're involved in it, then suddenly those innate human needs start to come out. So rewarded gameplay is an important, that's the mechanism, right? Mm-hmm. But it's really about, who's the champion, who's on top, who's the winner in this, and that social recognition, which again is an innate human need. So this definitely, esports is tried, true, and proven. It taps into that. That's why there is esports. Yes. That's why you have arenas that hold 100,000 people, right? Sure. To watch 5 people playing 5-on-5 esports tournaments, right? Yes. And that's happening today. Right, that's been happening for the past 20 years. Yeah. As far as the regionality and the localization of that, so part of our roadmap actually calls for doing what I call the World Series of Poker model. Okay, WSOP. Okay. WSOP is modeled around satellite events that happen all over the world. If you win one of those small local satellite events, you can win a seat at the grand event at the WSOP and win one of those famous poker bracelets that you see on TV, right? Right? Yeah. We're going to do the same thing. Yeah. We can have satellite events all over the world, bring out the local champions, put them in a grand event at the end of the year in some sort of exotic destination location that we can flash up. And now we can stream it. Now we're on places like Twitch. Now we're paying for eyeballs, right? Or we're bringing in eyeballs watching these types of events. Now you have a grand prize, and it's a sponsorship and advertising opportunity. So there's a whole ad revenue model behind this sponsorship model. You've already got the biggest energy drinks in the world sponsoring all of the teams, all the pro teams. Well, now they can come down and they can sponsor the amateurs that are coming up, and we can bring up those amateurs into a that next stratosphere of gameplay.
And so, Jeff, my question to you is, what kind of company are you then, right? Because there's a bit of an evolution here, right? Mm-hmm. There is the idea of SDKing into apps to create leaderboards that drive the whole esports activation for the 98% of games that don't have it, right? That aren't important. You drive that, you drive the activation, you get the user eyeballs. And if you're successful in that, Jeff, you talked about what you are now. You succeed on that. What do you become? Are you the next generation Twitch? Are you a next generation Twitch or a next generation television channel, right? That, you know what I mean? Tell me about where you go, Jeff. What's your big picture on this?
So marketing. right? Which is my background. So
Sure.
24, almost 25 years, 25 years next month, advertising and marketing for gaming companies since 1998, right?
Yeah.
I started in the iGaming industry. I went to PC games.
Okay.
I went to mobile. I went to fantasy sports. I found this eSports sector that was just starting to really start to the beginning of the maturity cycle around 2015, 2016. The first big prize pool in eSports was $100,000 in 2014 on a Dota game. Okay. Now the biggest prize pool is like 75 million. So it's growing, right? So it's obvious opportunity. But really it's a marketing exercise, right? So the marketers and the advertisers, they want these eyeballs. They want these players' attention. And this is a place to get that. Yeah. So that's ultimately, this is going to become, I'll call it a 50-50 split between the esports mechanism, the tournament mechanism, which is still a user acquisition and retention and monetization tool, which is great to help these games grow and become known and grow their user base. But then once you have that user base, it becomes a marketing exercise and we become a marketing company.
Yeah.
And that
you become a broadcaster, right? You become that network, right? Because and then you can let all the people come in. Yep. But what's really
brand sponsorships, all of that.
But you talked about 50-50, Jeff. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think it's the next generation, smart broadcasting platform, right? Where you are going to be able to get all of these amazing tournaments. You're going to have all the eyeballs, but there's a smart way, right? Jeff, you know this probably better than me. Typically what happens is you have, it's good. Jeff is writing something down, which means that I've given him an insight today.
You did. Smart broadcast. Thank you, Ash.
But do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Jeff, let's just think a little bit bigger for a second, okay? Part of these sessions, yes, I'll entertain you with an elevator pitch, but more importantly, Jeff, it's that moment in time where you're seated here and we're focused and we're just really looking at where this could actually go. Typically what happens is the broadcasters of today, right? You look at FX or Fox or anyone that's there, they are just broadcasters that have a pipe, and then they go to the content creators and they pay a little bit of money for the content. They might do a little bit of auxiliary deals on it. But what you're doing, Jeff, is you're owning the whole value chain. Do you know what I mean? And you're coming from it from the technology perspective, right? There is no broadcaster on the planet right now that has an embedded SDK, okay, in the games that are being the central source of content that is allowing them. Do you get what I'm saying, Jeff?
You just went end to end. You went complete cycle. Yeah. That's that.
Am you're
right. You're absolutely, you're dead on.
Okay. And so that's where I think you're going with this, because you got the lifetime value and you got the stickiness and all the components are there. And obviously there's different ways to kind of create the content format to make sure all this happens. But you are going to be the first smart broadcaster that is truly connected.
Yeah, we'd only toyed with that idea. We knew that there's, an obvious opportunity to grow this there. Yeah. But the way that you just encased it is clear and makes a lot of sense. One of our new partners, I could say it is because we actually publicly announced it. So it's a game development studio out of Vietnam. It's owned by NFT launchpad called Spores. They're well known in the NFT industry. They own a gaming studio called Cross. They're launching a battle arena game called Ukinga. Okay. And it's a wonderful game. It's right there at AAA. I mean, it's the IP is strong. Yes. Great graphics, great mechanics, great storyline. There's mini games with it. And their CEO, the first approach that they took towards us to engage with us was, can you help us market this?
Sure.
How can you help us market this? And he literally said, Jeff, I want to tap into your experience with this. Can we make that part of the deal, part of the package? And we did.
Sure.
So, and that was leading into this, but that didn't really clarify where this could go. We hadn't even gotten to the future vision of where this could be. You took it there. So that's one.
but Jeff, that's the thing, right? When I look at somebody like yourself, and again, I know you started working when you were 4 years old, so you're only 28 right now, right? So but my point is, this is kind of where I see it, and I think that in today's world, if you get the certain components right and you work your way backwards and then say, listen, what I need to be able to do is raise $1 million just to kind of get that first phase of games on my platform, prove out this model, and then I'm going here, and then I'm going here. And I just feel like, I mean, wouldn't that be beautiful? Imagine if the broadcaster had an embedded SDK in all of the games that are being played through the platform. Where does that go? Do you know what I mean? You know, where does that go? It's just completely where I feel that cross section of television and media and technology and gaming needs to be.
Yeah.
And I think you might be the best guy to do it, because part of this is, how do we monetize this, right? And make sure that happens. And you can have a great conversation about how to make money off of a simple ad on a platform, but you can also have a very strong conversation on a $500,000 sponsorship for broadcast rights and stuff like that. You have exposure to this, Jeff. Do you get what I'm saying?
I've
all the way through,
all the
right. And so
I bought Madison Square Garden for DraftKings and got their sponsorship there, right?
Exactly.
And the Blackhawks Chicago and a few others. So I know how to do the deals. Yeah.
Yes. I'll make note of that next time I want to go to Madison Square Gardens, by the way. So, but does that make sense, Jeff?
It does. It does. It really kind of takes it that last step, right, for the full ecosystem, right? So now it becomes like an evolution.
I feel like in today's market too, because we think about timing, right? I feel like the window shoppers in the Web3 space are kind of taking a bit of a break, but I feel like the big win opportunities are still there, right? The big companies, the capital, and all the stuff that you're looking to do, and we need to give them that appetite. Right? Give them that appetite, right? And see where this can go, right?
Yeah. The Web3 gaming space, it's coming on now. All the buildings happening, and you're going to see this next wave. The CEO of Animoca just said yesterday that gaming is going to be the primary on-ramp for Web3, for the metaverse.
Yes.
Okay. I've been saying that for 2 years. So we already knew this, but the industry was challenged when the guilds failed, the guild system failed, the Axie Infinities and those types of things. But that's because those were built around these bear market models based on tokens. We took the traditional esports model, which is tried, true, and proven, it's been used for 40 years, and just put it into the Web3 games, the Web3 gaming environment. So it's not going to break down like those games did. So we actually have an advantage over them right now. And we're really excited about it.
What's really interesting, and maybe I'll try to apply this in my pitch, Jeff, is if you speak to a seasoned investor, this idea of becoming the next generation smart broadcaster with the SDK built on a cross-chain platform, I think that's an interesting thesis that would definitely warrant a coffee conversation, Jeff. Okay, and so that's kind of the thought process I have now for everyone's entertainment, Jeff. Right, with zero preparation. Okay, and I have to do this to kind of apparently online people really enjoy watching me embarrass myself, pitch ideas back with no preparation. What I want to do is I'd like to pitch your idea back, Jeff, in terms of what we're doing. I feel like you want to raise around $1 million, right? At a pre-$8 million valuation. I'm going to talk a little bit about how you started, but I want to bake in where I think the world is going to go. Right now, my last question before I begin, Jeff, how much was Twitch acquired for?
Oh gosh, Amazon acquired them. Wasn't it $1 billion?
It was at least $1 billion
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it wasn't small.
Yeah. Yes. Got it. Okay. Let's give it a go. Now, Jeff, you get to introduce yourself, and then I get to, work my charm. I might be a little bit long because I want to get a couple of sound bites for you, but I'll hand it over to you, Jeff, for your introduction. Go ahead.
Thanks so much. So Jeff Donnelley, I'm CEO of the largest gaming conglomerate in the world. Glad to meet you. Listen, I got to run out of this elevator in a couple of floors, but love to hear.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. I'll jump right into it. My name is Singh, and I'm part of the Megafans team. As you know, the gaming space has evolved a lot. There's a lot of different elements that have kind of come into fruition in the Web3 space in gaming. But I want to talk to you about something really simple, unique, and where I think this is going to go. And after spending 24 years in the gaming space, we have discovered that for the vast array of the 3 billion users that play casual games, there's a very small opportunity for them to compete, to get ranked, and be part of that eSports experience. And so we decided to look at that model and see if we can open this up to the 98% of people that wish to be closely associated with the games that they love. We discovered through this process, through this leaderboard thought process, that this drives higher retention, okay, and more opportunities for monetization. But through that process as well, we discovered that if we have the ability to integrate our SDK and allow any game to enable eSports on our Web3 platform, we could do much more. And our thought process now is to take our platform, and we've already started in with 5 games, and we've seen some amazing results in what we're doing, and take it to more games around the world with the intent of us to drive a lot more value, drive more gaming companies to profitability, but more importantly, to create the first smart ecosystem for esports. We will become that smart broadcaster that will have an embedded SDK in all the games that we're showcasing and broadcasting online. And by driving that on our Web3 space, we think that we are going to be that next generation gaming platform that meets Twitch. I'd love to chat to you about what I feel is the next $1 billion opportunity. I've invested 24 years of my life in this industry, and I'm hoping that you can invest 25 minutes for a coffee to chat more. Thank you.
Amazing.
Okay. So that's what I'm hearing, Jeff. This is what you're doing, okay? The feedback points I gave earlier, this is what you're doing, Jeff. You gotta, and as American baseball, you should be hitting for the fences, Jeff. Am I right?
You're right.
This is what you're doing. I want to spend a little bit of time just looking at kind of the capital requirements around what you're doing, because I feel there might be a little bit more resources required, but that's kind of where I see this going, right? And we have to, with what you're doing right now, what I'm seeing, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, you know this industry better, but when it comes to gaming, the investors of today, the Tencents of the world, all of these guys are looking to write bigger checks, and they're also, swinging for the fences, right, Jeff? Is that right?
Yeah, it's big. It's a big stakes game.
Yeah,
very much so.
And I just feel like you're the right guy, Jeff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I having spent a bit of time with you and your work experience and how you've approached this, and obviously, when it comes down to making money, there is money in terms of the marketing dollars, right? You'd probably be earning a couple of $1 million a year just, helping other companies drive their marketing spend, but you should be building this is $1 billion company, Jeff, right? I'm going to state it right now, right? In October 2022, because when you reach that point, then I can say, I knew Jeff when he first started, right? But that's what I want, right? And we have to dig a little bit deeper on that. I want to make sure we implement that big picture and all the pieces are there. And what we are doing is we're raising capital and we're going to have this end in mind and we're going to continue to build. Okay. Because there's different ways and approaches on how you scale your business. Some businesses, most businesses are going to be doing it just based on the user component. But I feel like you might also require a little bit of capital to start building the second and third horizon of your business, right? And that's kind of where, you know what I mean? When I think about you and what you're doing and so on and so forth, I'd like to just, see, what are the other elements required in order for us to keep that end in mind. And I think that given your background and your experience, that an investor will respect that, right? They're going to want to help and support and they'll come through and support you where you need it. All right. So that's my thought, Jeff. Hopefully you found some value in that, right? And really exciting what you're doing, and congratulations on what you've created.
More excitement than I can express, Ash. This is phenomenal. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, sir. Have a wonderful day.